So welcome to my new yoga space for the next day. For those of you joining in after the fact, I'm here in Canmore for a wedding, so this is life for a little bit. So we're gonna start on our back today, and any comfortable place that you'd like. So whether you want soles of the feet together and knees out wide, you want extended legs, or you want your feet planted. You're welcome to add in any music that you'd like for this morning's practice. There's really no rush for you to land here. So we're closing off our week on permission to feel. And hips, when we look at the chakras, they really are the area of our body that is our right to feel. And the hip center of the chakras, it invites us into intimacy. And not just intimacy with others, but intimacy with self. And that intimacy is really, it's an opportunity to show up vulnerable and as you are, and know that that is enough. And to offer that to another person is a huge gift, but then to also offer that to yourself and to just give yourself that right to feel exactly as you do in each of those moments, and know that that doesn't change your worthiness, or it doesn't change how you feel about yourself, is really one of those steps towards enlightenment, and one of those steps towards embracing your true authentic light, which in yoga we refer to as your Purusha. And so for today's practice, it's really just going to be about an intimacy of self, allowing yourself to go beneath those layers of the practice that maybe are just about poses, that are maybe just about the physicality, and to really truly start to understand your body in some depth. Bring your attention to wherever you're feeling a little bit of resistance or tension. Take a couple of deep breaths as you just notice that space, whether it's lower back or creases of your hips. And think about your emotions as a tunnel that they're moving through. And as you just kind of notice your body, you also allow yourself to just feel emotions coming in, and then keep the space open for them just to leave. Especially early in the morning, we're not always connected right away to ourselves, and that's okay. And so really just giving yourself the opportunity to check in, notice how you've landed. Maybe even notice how this past week has gone for you. And wherever that emotional cup feels less full or feels heavy, can you start to just fill it with what you need? And oftentimes I find that's really just filling with breath. So before we get moving today, just start to become aware of the movement of your breath. The gentle ebb and flow. the way that your breath feels. Instead of looking at your right to feel as a discipline to be in those uncomfortable situations, today allow your right to feel to be a warm embrace of however you've shown up, and knowing that that's enough. Slowly you can start to bring some movements in towards your fingertips and your toes, maybe even rocking the side of your head back and forth. If it feels good, you might begin to take a big full body stretch, reaching your arms overhead. And then eventually land with your knees in towards your chest and arms wrap around the tops of your shins. Might feel nice to gently rock side to side, especially those of you with lower back aches this morning or just sensitivities in your lower back. Now with Happy Baby, if that does ache in your low back, just drop the hands a little bit lower so that there's less tension of the hips lifting up. So the next few breaths, you can start to separate the knees to the side of your rib cage. Those of you that just want to pause here, hands onto shins, you're welcome to. Or you can start to float your hands up towards your feet, heels to the sky. If you also feel this a lot in your shoulders, know that you can always drop your hands down to calves or to the backs of hamstrings. But you're still going to be getting the same opening into the feet and the calves and the hamstrings, just a little bit more gentle. If you're craving some movement, you're welcome to extend out one leg at a time, to gently rock. Maybe you bend your knees more or less. I really love this opportunity of Happy Baby to get curious with your body, to just start to notice, how is your body feeling this morning and how do you need to show up in the next few breaths? Okay. Gently release the grips of your feet. Bring your knees back over top of your body. Keep your right knee extended in and start to extend your left leg long, forward relieving pose. Hands can interlace on top of your shin or behind your hamstring. And focus less on this bent leg and take your attention towards the straightened leg. And imagine that you're drawing your heel, your toes, the sole of your foot away from your body. You can even flex into your left foot, turn your toes up towards the ceiling. Should feel a juicy opening into the front of that hip. Right knee can always come a little bit more out to the side. And then as you inhale, imagine that your breath is expanding all the way down towards your lengthened left hip. And as you exhale, just rinsing back out. Let's take one more breath in this shape. And then use your left hand to help draw your knee across your body into a gentle twist. Left leg stays straight as long as that's okay for the lower back. Maybe right fingertips extend out, or you can always cactus the arm. Gaze can fall wherever is comfortable. And now notice a lengthening on the outside of your right hip. As your right hip peels away from the ground. Unravel all the way back through to center. Allow your left knee to join your right, bending both knees in towards your chest. Pause there for a moment. And then when you're ready, when you're leaving, pose on the other side. Right heel starts to extend out, left knee draws in towards your chest or your rib cage. And then focus less on trying to bring your left knee in so close, and really feel that lengthening through the front of your right hip. Pressing your right heel into the ground, and then feeling like you could slide your right heel away from your body. A little bit more of an active pose rather than just kind of hanging out in this shape. Can you actively start to create space? And gently wind into your twist. Bring your left knee over top of your rib cage. Right hand helps to guide your left knee across your body. Left arm can extend out. Take a couple of deep breaths as you settle into this twisted shape. That reminder that you don't need to be in the most depth, that it's often just about softly landing yourself somewhere and giving yourself permission to just explore, permission to feel, and to figure out this practice one breath at a time. Unravel all the way back through center. Bring both knees into your chest. Hands wrap behind your hamstrings. Now, as long as this is okay for your lower back, you're welcome to start to rock up and down your spine. And you can take that as many times as you need until you land into your tabletop. Tabletop, once you land there, just start to move the spine. So you might start with what's comfortable, maybe some cat-cows, dropping in the belly and lifting through the hips and the chest. And then as you exhale, starting to curl and round. You can always take your hips forward or back. Cat-cow is just a really solid place to start from, but then start to notice, how do the hips feel when you move them side to side? How do they feel when you start to sit them back towards the heels? How does your spine feel this morning? And can you start to move through some of that stickiness that you're being presented with? Take about 2 more breaths in this movement, whatever you're going through. As for movement, that's perfectly okay. Let's meet into a child's pose. So start to walk your knees wide, big toes together. Sit your hips back to your heels and drape your body forward. A lot of this practice is going to be about just simply noticing how you feel in each of these poses, perhaps even how the physical body feels from the outside in, but then also just holding space for emotionally or at a soul level, how does this feel for your body? And one of these reminders for me is the Hindu goddess of disappointment. And it's not typically a goddess that we would think that we honor and that we give praise to. But she reminds us that even those moments that are really challenging or tough, or we'd rather, sweep under the rug, hold so much power and so much depth. And so in our permission to feel, it's not just to feel the good emotions, but also remembering that it's okay to feel into those darker corners of self or into those less loved corners of self. And that through this practice, we can start to shine this light and lessen the shame or the guilt and just start to accept this wholeness of self. Slowly start to peel yourself all the way back up through tabletop. Walk your knees in close so that they're underneath your hips. Tuck your right toes under and extend your right heel back so you feel length through the back of the calf. Now you're welcome to pause here or tuck your left toes under and start to pick your hips up for a modified down dog. Left knee stays bent, right heel drops down towards the mat. Notice if you're carrying a lot of weight in your shoulders, can you press into your hands, allow your shoulders to slide down your back. And then as you exhale, gently release your left knee down, bring your right knee into meet, and then find the other side. Left heel extends back, leg is long. Option to just pause there and press your heel away from your body, or tuck your right toes, picking up your hips, and then allowing your left heel to drop down towards the ground. If you are in this modified variation of down dog, bend deeply into your right knee. Notice the sensation into your left leg. And then let's all meet into down dog. So if your right knee is down, just start to pick it up. Walk your feet so they're hip width distance. As you pedal out your feet, notice the different sensations in the leg that's straightened and bent. That the smallest of movements can change how you feel in this pose and in this shape. Let's take one more breath in down dog. And then feet about hip width distance. Take a soft bend into your knees and walk your hands to the back of your mat for a forward fold. If you're feeling this, those of you that came to this practice with some low back sensitivities, if you're feeling this a lot in your low back, instead of having the legs straight, just allow your knees to bend and create a shelf for your upper body to land on. Head hangs heavy. You can shake your head yes. You can shake your head no. Just relax into the upper body and give yourself that permission to just drape forward. If you have any bind of your hands or arms, let that release. On your next inhale breath, take a halfway lift, hands to your shins or the ground. Start to peel your belly away from your thighs, flat back. And then as you exhale, fold. Two more breaths just like that. Inhale to halfway lift and lengthen. And exhale to fold. One more time. Inhale, breath to lift. And exhale to fold. Walk your fingertips forward, back to downward facing dog. Big toes together to touch. On an inhale breath, draw your right heel high, bend into your knee, stack into your hip. Feel the inner thigh pulling all the way up towards the ceiling. And then as you exhale, step your right foot through your hands, lower your back knee down. Okay, monkey lunge, half split slow. Hands can stay rooted, or you can always draw your fingertips all the way up. And as you inhale, land yourself into this lunge. As you exhale, send your hips back to a half splits and think about folding over top of your front shin. So inhale back to your lunge. Heart moves forward, option to float fingertips to the sky. And then exhale to sink your hips back. I'm feeling two different sensations as you move forward, the lengthening and space of your left hip. And as you start to move back, the lengthening of your right hamstring and calf. Let's take that one more time. Inhale to shift forward. And exhale to move back. Okay, bend into your front knee once again. Tuck your back toes to lift your back knee. Add in a twist. Left hand stays rooted. Inhale, right fingertips come all the way up. Keep rooted through your left hand and start to turn and pivot all 10 toes to the side of your mat. If this feels like it pulls onto your right knee, just heel toe your right foot more into the center of your mat. Pick up your hips, feeling all the way through that right side. And then as you exhale, turn and pivot to the front again. Step your back foot up, straightening out both legs, pyramid. Just start to fold in this shape over top of your front shin. Tuck your chin to your chest, let your head hang heavy. Now notice if your hips are starting to twist out to the right. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Add in a flat spine, so taking that halfway lift. Hands come to the ground or to blocks. Pulling your right hip back, left hip forward, hips and shoulders start to square. Inhale, breath, reach a little bit more through the crown of the head, even if you don't have a fully horizontal back, but it's still flat. And then as you exhale, bend into both knees and step to a fold at the top of your mat. Even if you're not quite at the top, that's totally okay. On an inhale breath, take that halfway lift. And exhale to fold, plant your hands, step your toes back, high plank. Inhale, breath, fill all the way up. And exhale, ripple through the spine, downward facing dog. Walk your big toes together to touch. As you inhale, send your left heel high to the sky. And as you exhale, step through monkey lunge. Dropping the back knee down, inhales bring you into your lunge, and exhales bring you back. So on your own time, just start to move through these two shapes. Allow your breath as it comes to the crest of your inhale to draw you forward, always optional to pick up your fingertips. And as you exhale, to just sit you back, to give you a little bit of ease, a little bit of fold. So there's always the effort in one part of the breath, usually the inhale. And then there's the ease in the subsequent breath of the exhale. And can you just start to feel that within your body, maybe even less about the poses and more about how does your breath guide you through this? Take one more movement forward and back. And then the next time that you land yourself into a lunge, tuck your back toes to lift your back knee, low runner's lunge. Right hand stays rooted. Peel your left fingertips up to the sky, twist open. Turn all 10 toes over to the left side of your mat, rolling to the pinky side edge of your right foot. Press into the ground with all 5 of your right fingertips. Lift your hips up high. And then as you exhale, gently release your left hand down. Turn all 10 toes to the top of your mat, pyramid. Slide your back foot up and slowly just start to fold. First couple breaths in pyramid, more about the lengthening of the backs of the legs. Allow your spine to release. And then the second half of this pose, start to lengthen out your spine. Squeeze your inner thighs together. This is gonna get you into the outside of that left hip, close to the IT band. Imagine that you're trying to bring your head and shoulders in line with your hips, so hands either on the ground or up onto blocks. And then a little bit different this time, start to walk your fingertips over to the right, wide-legged forward folds. Bring all 10 toes towards the side of your mat, and then start to drape your body down. Adding in some dynamic movement, just bend into one knee at a time, shifting side to side. You might find that you need to walk your feet out a little bit wider. Explore the adductors as well as the inner hamstrings. Feeling the inner thighs. You might even start to take this all the way down into a Skandasana, hips towards heels. But it's totally okay if you just keep hips lifted as well. Let's land into the right side. So as your right knee bends, you can stay upright. You can always take your right forearm onto your thigh and twist open, left hand to the sky. If you're all the way down, walk your right fingertips out and then just start to take your left hand up. Open up through the chest, through the side body. Take a couple of deep breaths just to settle into the creases of your hips. Soften your shoulders away from your ears. And then gently release your left hand down and switch to the other side, picking up your hips. Start to bend into your left knee, right leg straightens. Left hand walks out or left forearm onto your thigh if your hips are high. And then reach your right fingertips all the way up. Can you feel into that cracking wide open of the heart center and of the chest? And exhale, gently release your hands all the way back down. Walk your fingertips through center, wide-legged fold. Turn your toes to face the side of the mat if they're turned out. Soft bend into your knees. Bring your hands all the way onto your hips. And in a full inhale breath with a flat back, lift up. Those of you with low back sensitivities, just make sure you bend into your knees and then rise so that you are in your 5-pointed start. Roll your shoulders once or twice. Move towards your warrior two on your right side. So pick up your right heel, turn your right toes. I think this will be to the back of your mat. And then if you need a little more space, just heel to your left foot out. Start to extend your arms long. So you want to make sure that the right knee is bent, left leg is straight. Flip your front palm to face up. Squeeze your inner thighs so that your legs don't move, almost like they're in concrete. And then as you inhale, reach your right hand skyward. Left fingertips slide down your back leg. Notice the sensation into that front hip. And as you straighten into that front leg, feel a little bit more length. Inhale, breath, lift all the way back up through center for your triangle. Kick your hips out, reach forward, and then slowly start to gather your right hand to the inside of your front leg, and left fingertips reach all the way up. You can roll your left hip slightly forward, but really focusing on the lengthening of that right inner thigh. Squeeze into your glutes to stabilize through the hips. All right. On an inhale breath, lift all the way back up through center, warrior two, bend into your front knee, wherever that is, front or back of your mat. As you exhale, windmill your hands down either side of your right foot, turn onto your back toes. Now this is where it's going to get a little bit different. Finding that same movement that we did in monkey lunge half splits, but now with the back knee lifted. So inhale breath, lower your left hip towards the ground, send your heart forward in your low lunge. Exhale, straighten into both legs for pyramid pose. Inhale breath, shift forward. Start to open up through the heart, gaze might lift up, and exhale to fold. Let's take 3 more breaths with movement. Really starting to ease your way into the back of your right hamstring and calf. The next time that you move towards pyramid, you'll probably want to shorten your stance. So just slide your back foot up and lengthen your spine right away here. I always like blocks. Unfortunately, I don't have blocks, but you can always use a water bottle or just a stack of books, something that's around to bring your hands on. So left hand will stay rooted, add in that twist. Right hand slides up towards your right hip or even up towards the ceiling. Hips will want to twist out to the left, so really squeeze your right inner thigh to meet your left. Gaze can fall wherever is comfortable. If it feels better to pick up that back heel, absolutely, that's totally okay. And then as you exhale, gently release your right hand down, turn and pivot to the side of your mat. Moving back into your wide-legged fold. Walk your fingertips forward for a wide-legged down dog. As you press into your hands, just make sure that your shoulders aren't landing over top of your wrists. You want to root through your fingertips and start to take that weight into your heels, maybe even hollowing out through your armpits. Let your head hang heavy. You can shake it yes, or you can shake it no. As you inhale, can you feel the back of your body lift up? And as you exhale, just sinking in. Walk your fingertips back in towards your body, making sure to take a generous bend into your knees, hands lock onto your hips. Inhale, breath, rise tall. Warrior two, this time with your left foot forward, turn your left toes to the short edge of your mat. Option to just heel toe your back foot out a little bit wider. Beautiful. Okay. Squeeze through the glutes. This in itself is going to open up the hips more and give you more length through the inner thighs. It will also help to stabilize as you move through the upper body. So as you inhale, flip your front palm to face up and start to draw your left fingertips up to the sky. Right hand slides down your back leg. Notice all of that stability into your front hip crease. And then on your next inhale, straighten out that front leg and begin to lengthen through the entire left side of the body. Inhale, breath, lift up, set up for triangle. Start to lean towards your left leg. And when you can't anymore, left hand comes down and right fingertips draw all the way up. Triangle is also really great for the inner thigh and hamstring. And so notice the sensation in that area, and can you just allow yourself the space to feel it? Even if it's not your favorite pose or it's feeling really challenging this morning, to just breathe through that. On your next inhale, rise all the way up, warrior two. Exhale, windmill your hands down either side of your left foot. Should probably be facing closer to the front of your mat. And then start to move through low lunge and pyramid. So lowering your right hip down. And then as you exhale, pyramid. Start to fold, straighten out both legs. Don't worry about coming into the full expression of the pose, but just this almost rocking chair movement. It's often really challenging for us to feel into our bodies when we're rigid, when we're really strict, or we're confined. But this movement gives us the expression to explore, the expression to just move. And then as you land yourself, so the next time you come to pyramid, you're gonna pause there. Option to slide that back foot up and just shorten your stance slightly. As you move into a twisted pyramid, now you have the space to feel in stillness. So right hand stays rooted down, left fingertips start to draw up towards your low back or reaching all the way up towards the sky. Draw your inner thighs together to square your hips and really bring this into the outer edge of your left hamstring. Slide your shoulder blades together, soften through your gaze. And as you exhale, gently release your left hand down and step to the short edge of your mat. Fold. Inhale, breath, halfway lift and lengthen. And exhale to fold. Plant your left hand into the center of your mat. Bend deeply into your left knee, keeping the right leg straight and just start to twist. Right hand comes all the way up, maybe to your right hip or towards the sky. And exhale, gently release and fold. Inhale, breath, other side. Left fingertips rise, right knee bends. And exhale to fold. Inhale, breath two, halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, plant your hands, step your toes back, high plank. Take a full breath in, and then exhale, lift your hips high, downward facing dog. Lower down onto your knees for a moment. Let's take a child's pose. Walk your knees wide, sit your hips back to your heels, and just start to drape forward. child's pose in your practice can sometimes be a place that we feel resistant to slowing down, or you feel resistant to the opportunity of this pose. And that is the resistance that doesn't actually allow us to just feel into what's beneath the surface of our skin and our muscles. And as we work into some of these deeper poses, really, really important that we're remembering to allow space for our body to rest. Allow these next 5 breaths to just be nourishing, so that when we meet back together within the practice of movement, that you feel like you have the energy and the drive that you need when things get really tough or challenging. If you need a little bit longer in your child's pose, you're welcome to stay there. Otherwise, coming back to your downward facing dog. Walk your big toes together to touch. On an inhale breath, slide your right heel up to the sky. Now, if this feels like too much, this transition that I'm about to move you through, you can always come back to down dog and I'll walk you through it. Start to walk your fingertips towards your left foot, coming into a standing split. Right heel lifts all the way up. Squeeze your right glute, so working into some strength. Now, those of you that doesn't feel good for the low back, just come back to your down dog, walk your hands back to a fold, and then start to float your right heel up. Tuck your chin into your chest. Imagine yourself as a teeter-totter in which the heavy end is the crown of your head, dropping down towards the earth. Take one more full breath just like that. And then start to walk your fingertips forward, downward facing dog. Now bend into your right knee, stack into your hip. As you exhale, step towards the top of your mat. High lunge this time. As you inhale, sweep your fingertips all the way up. Beautiful. Okay. Soften into the front of your left hip. Feel your left hip drawing forward, right hip drawing back. Take a full breath in. As you exhale, open up warrior 2. Soften through your shoulders. Flip your front palm to face up. Inhale, breath, reverse your warrior, straighten out your front leg. Exhale, come all the way back, warrior 2. Start to reach your right hand towards the top right corner of your mat for your half moon pose. Right hand reaches down, back heel lifts up. Make sure that your left toes point over towards the side of the room. And then to help with the stability of this pose, squeeze your left glute and imagine that you're sending your left hip forward. Okay. Flex into your left foot. Just hold for one more breath. As you exhale, keep your left foot lifted. Start to rotate your hips and shoulders to the ground. Left hand comes to the ground. Turn your left toes to the ground. Reverse half moon. Left fingertips stay rooted. Start to slide your right hand up towards your right hip. Right fingertips all the way up towards the sky. Draw your inner thighs towards one another. This pose always feels a little bit awkward, but just remembering that you have space to breathe and to feel through this. All right, as you exhale, gently release your right hand down and step your left foot to crisscross behind your right. So your inner thighs will be together, feet slightly apart. And you don't have to have your feet right beside each other. It's okay to step that left foot a little bit further back and have some space. Okay, this one's for Dana, because I know that you really love the crisscross. If it feels okay, pick up all 5 of your right toes and start to roll to the pinky side edge of that foot. So that it's like you're peeling the sole of the foot away from the ground, starting to expose
the bottom of your foot, and then you should get into the side of the shin and ankle. Gently release the sole of your right foot down, and then bending enough into both knees, step to a fold, uncross your thighs. Take an inhale breath to halfway lift and lengthen, and exhale to fold. Bend into your knees, inhale breath, sweep your arms all the way up, and exhale, forward fold, let that go. Inhale breath to halfway lift and lengthen. Exhale, plant your hands, meet into down dog however you'd like, whether that's with a vinyasa or not, whether it's just a high plank to a down dog, yogi's choice. All right, walk your big toes together to touch, setting up for standing splits. Left heel rises high. Start to walk your hands back towards your right foot so that you have all of the weight into your standing leg, and fingertips are really just there to help with balance. So if you start to tip side to side or forward or back, fingertips are there to catch you. Squeeze into your left glute to send your left heel high. Try to relax into the back of your head and back of your neck. Make sure that you still have room to breathe. And then setting back up for your three-legged dog, walk your fingertips forward, bend into your left knee, stack into your hip just for an inhale breath. And as you exhale, high lunge. Step your left foot through. On an inhale, rise tall. So you should start to feel some release into the front of that right hip that was just hinged quite a bit. Soften through the shoulders. Use this pose, even though it's really strong, to complement where you just were. And then on your exhale, open all the way up for your warrior two. Okay. Flip your front palm to face up. Inhale, breath, reverse your warrior. Straighten out your front leg. Take a big full body stretch. And exhale, warrior two. Half moon pose. Start to lean forward. Take your left hand to the top left corner of your mat and start to float your right foot off of your mat. Right toes point to the side. Now, if it feels better to have both hands down, that's totally okay. You're just working into that lengthening of your left hamstring this time. Squeeze your right glute, otherwise you're just kind of hanging off your hip joint and it won't feel comfortable. So activate into your right glute, send your hips forward to support your spine. Reverse half moon, release your right hand to the ground, start to turn your right toes down. So hips are now square. Right hand to the right corner of your mat. Maybe you lift your left hand to your low back, or left hand floats up towards the sky. It's totally okay to just have both hands down and be in an L-shaped pose. Notice any resistance that's coming up, and remember that that's all just a part of your right to feel. If you are still in your reverse half moon, release your left hand down and let's crisscross the legs. Lower your right foot over to the left side of your mat. You're welcome to bend into either knee, just giving yourself a little bit of space into the backs of the legs. Now, if this feels good on the other side, when we start to roll in towards the outer edge of the shin, you're welcome to play with it here. So picking up all 5 of your left toes, just start to roll to the pinky side edge of that foot. Notice if there's anywhere you're holding tension that you don't need to, can you let that go? And then slowly lower your left foot back down and step to a fold at the top of your mat. Inhale, breath to halfway lift and lengthen. And exhale, fold. Let your hands meet into tabletop. All right, you can thank Steph for this next one. She said she wanted to get into calves. So keeping your shins and tops of your feet onto your mat, pick up your left knee and place it into the belly of your right calf. Now, I always like to come down onto forearms for this one. So you can just slowly start to lower it down if that feels okay. I find it takes some of the strain out of the wrists. And now fascially massage your right calf. Start to slide your left knee up and down the length of your calf. Now this only works if you press down. So you are looking for some of that discomfort of movement. Fascial work isn't always comfortable, but it is definitely necessary. And as you lengthen out the calf, you are also going to be lengthening out the hamstrings in the back of the leg. Notice those areas that feel really, really tight. You can even just pause there and start to open and close your left knee, drawing your heel in and out. And then maybe you find another spot that's feeling pretty tight or resistant. You just embrace how this feels in this moment without trying to fix it or change it. Really just embracing letting go of the resistance. Start to massage out again if you've paused, finding any final places in the back of your right calf that needs some extra love. Maybe you press down just a little bit harder. And then gently release your left knee back down. Plant into your hands once again. Tuck your right toes and extend your right heel back. You're welcome to pause here or come into your modified down dog again, whatever feels best for that right leg. Lengthen out where you are just massaging. And then slowly lower yourself all the way back down onto your left knee. Lower down to your forearms, and this time right knee picks up into the belly of your left calf. Okay. Start to massage out to the outer edge and to the inner edge of your left calf, knowing that this isn't supposed to be comfortable, but you're still allowed to feel that. And I think in recognizing that there will always be comfort and discomfort, good and bad, right and wrong, that this life is full of dualities. We stop closing ourselves off to feel. And we really just allow ourselves that space into the uncomfortable moments. We also allow ourselves space into the good moments, not fearing that they'll go away, but really just allowing yourself to move through this life with more than your head guiding you, but to start to allow your heart to guide you. If you found a spot that's really sticky, you're welcome to pause, press your knee down, open and close your knee joint. We're here for just a little bit longer, so really making sure that you're able to release anywhere that needs that extra bit of love this morning. Really getting into the back line of the body, into the hamstrings, into the calves. Last little bit. And then when you're ready, gently release your right knee down, come back up onto your hands. Slide your left heel back and just press your heel towards the wall behind you, or optional, modified down dog. Pick up your hips and drop your left heel towards your. I promise no more fascial massage today. But we do have one more sticky pose left, so slowly lower yourself back down onto your knees. Walk your knees about hip-width distance and then tuck your toes under. Okay, so feet really, really important in the back line of the body. Start to sit your hips back onto your heels. You know, if this feels like too much, you can always slide your hands forward and take some of your weight into your hands. Otherwise, hands rest onto thighs. Those of you that are sitting back onto your heels, tuck your pinky toes under. They tend to be little escape artists. Okay. And then just take a couple of deep breaths. Remember that this pose, your toe stand or a toe squat, it's meant to be uncomfortable. And so it really is that opportunity to just breathe. to feel into the corners of discomfort and work on not shutting off that feeling or trying to distract. Soften your shoulders, relax into your fingertips. Knowing if you need a break, you can always slide your hands forward to tabletop, but we're going to be here for about 5 more breaths. Allow your exhales to be really long, fluid. And this is one of those poses where I always find everything that's been frustrating me somehow seems a little bit less than when you're sitting over top of your heels. Okay. Start to slide your hands forward, untuck your toes, bring the tops of your feet to your mat, and then just gently tap your feet. Should feel like a nice release. Sit over onto your hips, bringing your feet out in front of you. Last pose before we lower onto our back, forward fold. Shift your hips side to side, so you're just picking up the soft parts from underneath. You can feel your sits bones. If you kind of shift side to side, those 2 bones that root into your mat, you want to try to keep those down. Flex into your feet. We're going to take a bit of a different fold today. So rather than draping the body over, start to hinge from your hips. Feel like you're drawing your belly to your legs first, and then your chest. So you might not go as far down, but feel like you're pulling your toes up and towards your body, and then root through your heels, root your knees towards the ground, root your sits bones down. So despite the fact that you might not be fully folded, this is actually going to give you a little bit more length. Play with lifting your kneecaps, so engaging the quads, and the engagement of that front line of the body is going to make this feel a whole lot more. Notice how you just went from a lengthening of the bottoms of the feet now all the way up the legs, and also a lengthening of the spine. So soft tuck of your chin towards your chest. See if you can really root the backs of your legs towards the ground, almost like someone's placing weights on top of your legs and they're just pressing down deeper and deeper towards the floor. Take 1 more breath in this lengthened shape as you inhale, really feeling the effort. And then as you exhale, just drape your body for a second and fold. Let that go. Walk your fingertips up the length of your legs, slowly, slowly coming all the way up. Bend into your knees and lower yourself down onto your back. Bring your knees into your chest. We're going to close off with plow pose for the lower back. If you don't want to take plow, you're welcome to just keep your knees into your chest or find waterfall, extend your feet up to the sky. If you're comfortable with plow pose, hands down beside your body and just start to pick your hips up, almost like you're rocking backwards. And then the next time that your hips pick up and you feel okay with this, bring your hands to your lower back and support you. Walk your hands up your back to start to stack your hips towards your shoulders. Knees can always separate to the sides of your face. Legs can stay bent, or you can straighten your legs out. Just make sure that there's not a lot of tension onto your head or neck. Should feel like a gentle release for the spine. And then slowly, 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 you can start to lower yourself down, planting your feet onto the earth. Slide your toes out and take a big full body stretch. Maybe even a big yawn if you're feeling it. I know I am. And let's knee into Shavasana. The arms can come down beside you. You walk your feet out long. If you do feel like you need to twist or shift hips side to side, you're always welcome to. Otherwise, we'll pause here to close off practice. Can you go beneath the layers of the physical body and just notice how energetically do you feel? How full does your heart feel? How full does your breath feel? I think sometimes that reminder when we're feeling overwhelmed, when it's all feeling like a little bit too much, is just to come back to the mat. Slow everything down. Pause away from the outside world. And just give yourself some space to start by feeling into the physical body. The two work together, body and mind. So as we become more present with the physical body, Shavasana is that place where we now pause the physical body and we're allowed to just sit with the mind and feel into our thoughts and emotions. I'll leave you here for a couple of moments to just embrace whatever's showing up for you at the end of this week. And without trying to fix it or push it out, to just notice. I'll bring you out of this so that we can close off practice together. I hope that you find this path that is full of breathtaking moments. Moments that light you up from the inside out. Moments that remind you how meaningful and magical and wonderful that life really is. Moments that remind you of all of the good. Smiles from strangers, giggles from the ones that you love, hugs that make you feel warm and loved and cherished. I hope that you find these moments often, and when you can't seem to find them, I hope you learn how to create them for yourself, because you are worth it. You are worthy of all of the wonderful things that life has to offer, simply because, my beautiful friends, you are. And you are you, and that's enough. I think sometimes we need to feel those deep, powerful emotions as a reminder that we're still alive. And this is all just a part of life. The challenging moments and the easy ones. And so I hope that as you move through this weekend of gratitude, of Thanksgiving, to not only be grateful for the moments of your life that have worked out, but also for the moments that haven't, because I promise you they've brought you here. You can slowly start to ease into your body. If you want to wake up with me, you're welcome to just take some small movements.
eventually landing and seated. If you are just wanting to stay in Shavasana, you're welcome to. And eventually you'll just land yourself with hands at heart center. Your right to feel and permission to be are so connected to this active personhood and humanness, and to just hold a little bit of space for yourself to work through everything that's ahead of you without it having to be perfect or figured out. So I hope that you all have a beautiful, beautiful weekend ahead. So much love and all the gratitude to each of you from the bottom of my heart. Namaste.